freedom. As Americans, we've come to expect it from our government. And as teenagers, we are constantly fighting for it from our parents. For Ryan Brantley, getting a little space from his mom is a constant battle.
I guess it's just healthy suspicion that a lot of parents have, but it really kind of aggravates me because I'm more an independent type, and I just basically need my freedom.
For years, Branka and Alexandra Lalovic longed for another kind of freedom. The freedom to go outside, to feel safe, and to sleep through the night. They lived in Sarajevo during the Civil War.
It was very scary, and I used to wake up every morning and thinking about what's going to happen today. Am I going to see my family again if I go out?
And this alternative teen newspaper takes a lot more liberties in their writing than traditional school newspapers.
We take it for granted that some teens are going to have sex, and so we may as well write about birth control and AIDS and homosexuality and things that affect teenagers. And a lot of schools like to forget that these kind of things exist, and they have problems with that.
And today on the couch, Frankie, Trey, Michelle, Aaron, and Matt.
So our space from my parents, there's no space from my parents. There's no escape from my parents. And if I try to, then all it is conflict and clashing, because I don't spend any family time.
Some people in this country, they just don't take advantage of their freedoms.
We have this, ability to vote and, have some sort of say in our country, and there's so many, millions of people that don't take advantage of that at all.
Have you noticed everybody's always complaining? Somebody always has something to say about what's going wrong over here and what's not being done because it's not the way they want it. They don't realize what they have.
But that's another thing, just taking advantage of the freedom then. If you don't have the right to speak out, and regardless of if your problems over there and problems over here, everyone's going to have something to complain about. I know we got a lot more than they do.
No, see, that's what happens because if you grow up with something and you have it your entire life, you don't realize that it's even there and you take it for granted. That's why we take everything for granted.
The great thing of America is its lack of class systems. There is no, if I'm born in the slums, I can become John D. Rockefeller or Carnegie, start my own little steel industry. I can be anything I want.
But at the same time, I think it's kind of ridiculous sometimes that our society is so superficial and stuff like that, that people can become rich off a pet rock or funnyhats.com or something like that. I mean, they could just get rich for the most ridiculous reasons.
That's the American dream, the beauty of America. The most ridiculous things will actually become some fantastic movement.
Like kicking
because
pets.
there's enough stupid people to spend money on pet rocks.
It's hard to make your dreams come true. Is all this worth it? I mean, my dreams come true. I would love, right now, I don't even know what I'm going to do. But knowing the fact that I have that freedom there, but it's hard to keep that freedom.
I believe that what you put into that school or that job or whatever is what you get out of it. You make your dream. You control your life. You control your destiny. You control your future.
When I was 9 years old, the war came to my country.
This is Branka and Alexandra Lalovic. They're from Sarajevo, and they spent most of their childhood living in the midst of a brutal war.
It was really hard. We had to, hide, couldn't get out. I couldn't be with my friends every day. Had to stay at home all the time.
Sarajevo is the capital city of Bosnia. From 1992 to 1999, there was a civil war.
They started fighting because of religion. So I had to grow up very fast and trying to survive every day.
Nonsense. It was really, I don't know, a lot of innocent people died for nothing.
Bullets, fires, people dying on the streets. Branka, Alexandra, and many other people in Sarajevo witnessed death and destruction in ways most of us could never imagine.
This is when somebody died, the next morning they put it in the news and show all the people that died yesterday or day before yesterday. And these are some people that died. This was in 1992.
Every single day, they feared for their lives.
It was very scary, and I used to wake up every morning and thinking about what's going to happen today. Am I going to see my family again if I go out?
For years, they hungered for a different life, for safety, for happiness, for a quiet night without gunshots or nightmares.
I was mad at the world because, you know, then looking at the TV and seeing all other countries, they living like, you know, in freedom and they free.
Finally, in 1999, the Lalovic family was able to leave Sarajevo and come to America.
I was happy. I was happy. Everybody was happy, you know. Just thought of coming over here. No more, you know, no more pain, no more nothing.
You want some juice?
After 3 years in the United States, Branka and Alexandra loved their new life.
But here it's like, you know, you don't have war. You feel free to go outside and play. I mean, I don't think about, you know, if I get out, if something gonna happen to me, you know, if they're gonna start bombing or whatever.
I don't have to live my life in fear anymore. I don't have to be afraid. Am I gonna have bread tomorrow morning? Am I gonna have water tomorrow morning?
They have hopes and dreams, and the freedom to make them come true.
I want to become somebody one day, go to school, you know, trying to make all my dreams come true, to become an actress, artist, travel around the world. I want to see everything. I want to live my life to the fullest.
The only thing that I want to have is peace, love, and a normal life.
Think about it. I start, you know, feeling like I want to cry all the time, and just that's why I don't like remembering all these things, because it makes me feel bad.
And my only question is why they happened. Why those innocent people had to die? Why those parents had to lose their children? Why couldn't I live my life normal?
This is Vox, a newspaper that is written and run by teens.
We're looking at the personal experiences of teenagers and writing about what makes these years of our life difficult and beautiful, and about what it means to be growing up.
Vox is like a lot of other alternative newspapers in American cities. It's distributed to local schools, coffee shops, music stores, and other places in the community. It's also on the web. This newspaper has adult advisors, but for the most part, the high school kids run the show.
We have limitations as to what language we can use, and we can't say things that would offend people, but aside from that, it's really a free forum. We can say whatever we feel needs to be said.
That's why these kids spend their afternoons and some Saturdays here. Not because they get paid, they don't, but because they're independent. They get to choose what they write.
I think that a school newspaper really has to play by a lot of rules. I mean, a school newspaper, by virtue of being a school newspaper and being a publication set up by a school, it's meant more as like a happy, sugary reflection that pleases administration in some cases.
When the school paper select when they select the articles to be written, it's mostly like the advisor saying this needs to be written. My friend Emily last year tried to do an article on date rape. And I mean, it's such a big issue in the news and stuff for teens. Everyone's heard about it being an issue, but our newspaper advisor made this thing about how it didn't affect teenagers, blah, blah, blah. And Emily was going, wait, my friends, this is happening to my friends, and it needs to be said. And if anything like that came up here, if I said I want to write an article about date rape because blah, blah, one of my friends was date raped or something, I could write whatever I wanted because they trust us on the issues that we want to write about.
There are lots of very good high school newspapers across the country, but they have to please a lot of different people: the principal, teachers, parents, and kids. But Vox is totally independent, and they like stories that are edgy and controversial.
We take it for granted that some teens are going to have sex, and so we may as well write about birth control and AIDS and homosexuality and things that affect teenagers. And a lot of schools like to forget that these kind of things exist, and they have problems with that.
Runaways, cliques, bullies, dating violence, these are just some of the issues tackled by this paper. But some critics say there's too much freedom in this press.
The main dissatisfaction that we've heard is from adults. A couple of times we've had some phone calls from grandparents or principals who've said, even though a word is bleeped out, the use of that word in a newspaper is inappropriate.
I can see how some people would think that, but I don't agree with it. I've written articles. I am openly gay at my school, and I've written articles that don't make a point of it, but that mention it. Some schools actually banned Vox because of an article about it was a support line for homosexual teens, and that was a problem. They didn't like that, and so they didn't allow Vox in the school anymore.
There are lots of voices in a free press, alternative newspapers. Vox is just one of them.
To not have that as part of the community would be a real loss. I think a lot of people would be denied a voice, it seems.
By voicing their experiences, their needs, their fears, their talents, they have an opportunity to dispel some stereotypes, get self-help information, and really engage as members of our community.
I think it's a lot better than school newspapers because they tend to be really, like the kid said, really weak and sugar-coated and not very interesting.
So they're controversial. That makes them a good newspaper. That makes them a decent
because they
publication?
are allowed to be controversial.
Okay.
Because they have the potential to stir something up. Because I don't know. My idea about controversial things is whether I agree or disagree, they're positive because they make people think.
Not everyone feels like that same way. I mean, I would be perfectly fine with my child, reading a more, controversial, school paper, but there's a lot of overprotective parents that want to know that when their kids go to school, they're going to learn about geometry and they're going to read Shakespeare and, they're going to paint pretty pictures of flowers. And
you cannot please everybody. You can't appeal to everybody because everybody has a different opinion. Everybody's going to perceive everything differently. Who's writing that paper, that's your feeling, that's how you feel, that's what you want to say. If you don't like it, don't read the paper.
Right, I totally agree with you that they cannot please everyone, but the administration's job is to try their best to compromise your beliefs, my beliefs, their beliefs, everyone's beliefs, parents, little kids, everything. And that's where the blandness comes into play. I don't agree with it, but that's why it's there.
I don't know, I'm not the typical, run-of-the-mill teenager.
Ryan and his mom don't exactly agree on his choice of clothes or music.
That dark